Welcome to the Law News Docket, the part of the show where we review law-related stories in the news and how they affect us. The recent heroin epidemic has hit the greater Cincinnati area as hard as the rest of the nation. The state of Ohio has drafted 9 new bills aimed at curbing the heroin and opiate problem in Ohio.
According to the latest Ohio Department of Health data, heroin overdose deaths were up by 60% in 2012 over 2011. And in 2012, heroin drove the overall number of fatal unintentional drug overdose deaths to 1,914.
On average, about 5 people in Ohio die every day due to opiate overdose. This includes heroin, OxyContin, Percocet, Vicodin, other opiates. It is for this reason we want to address some of the bills that are currently pending and what solutions may be out there.
We won't be discussing each of the proposed laws in detail, but we have included summaries of those proposed laws on our Facebook site, Cincinnati Law Works.
Joining us today is our special guest, Cincinnati criminal defense attorney Kip Guinan, who we will interview a little bit later in the show. There are currently 9 bills that are pending in the Ohio legislature that are trying to come up with solutions to the heroin epidemic that is rampant throughout Ohio. And there are different ones that put responsibility on the physicians to closely monitor their patients. There are ones that require that any medication that's prescribed to a minor that's an opiate has to have their parents' consent and signature. You know, Kip, my thought is that public awareness is one of the potential solutions for drug abuse. And you know, as far as that bill where the parents have to be aware that their kids are being prescribed medication, what's your thought on a bill like that?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of these bills, in my opinion, are trying to capture the horse after it's already left the barn. As a criminal defense attorney here in the tri-state area, opiate addiction, crimes related to opiate addiction are simply on a rampage. I would say a rough estimate of 45 to 50% of cases that I'm involved with on a daily basis have some connection to heroin, OxyContin, other opioid addictions, be it through prescription abuse or simply off-the-street narcotics. I fear that some of these bills, as I said, are a little bit too little too late. If a teen or even a child is going to be prescribed some type of opiate, obviously, I would hope the medical professionals would have the parent's consent, and not only their consent, but also inform the parent of, hey, your child has this particular ailment or is in this particular pain. I'm going to prescribe OxyContin. I'm going to prescribe hydrocodone. Here's the risks. Here is the effects. And more importantly, here is the length of the prescription and the dosage. I think that's a major factor that I don't see addressed in any of these proposed bills is the dosage amounts. Some of the bills I think are strong, some of them are weak. For example, one of the new proposed bills is that it become a requirement to teach opiate addiction through health courses at people's particular schools. While I think drug abuse and drug addiction are important aspects to discuss in the educational system, I just think that it'd be a much stronger position coming from a parent, coming from a medical provider. My personal experience at the time I was coming up through middle school, high school, obviously the discussion was marijuana, cocaine, and I think for today's legislatures and today's public, the medications, and be they street drugs or prescription drugs, are so much more powerful, so much more addictive, that I just don't think school is the place that will adequately address the true dangers that lie for anybody that falls into abusing these type of substances.
In your experience, the minors that are exposed to and have the opportunity to use opiates, what percentage actually get those through a prescription versus steal them from, you know, their parents' medicine cabinets, that sort of thing?
You know, I would say a lot of my clients that I've had contact with, be it juvenile or adult, and this again goes to the fact of this type of epidemic ranges from any socioeconomic scale. I've seen the very poor all the way up to wealthy college-age students as well as work professionals. One example that springs to mind is I represented a businessman who had a serious car accident, had some back injuries, needed surgery. The doctor put him on OxyContin for post-surgical care. When his prescription ran out, his addiction did not. And he turned to going downtown, quite frankly, and bought heroin to help him with his physical pain. He became an addict and lost everything. Was divorced within 3 years, lost his family, lost his job, and was facing drug trafficking and drug possession charges by the time I met him.
Kip, let me ask you a question. One of these, I was looking at the kind of a summary of the 9 proposed bills, and one of them requires a consumer fact sheet to educate the people that are taking these medications. Isn't that kind of a ridiculous requirement, since every prescription that you get at a pharmacy already contains some type of a fact sheet? I mean, what is behind that, if you can kind of shed some light?
If you're asking me, I think it's to cover their liability. By that I mean, think about any time you get a prescription for yourself or someone in your family. Do you really read that information?
Absolutely not.
You do the dosage your doctor tells you. If there's any serious side effects, the doctor may consult you with that. But when is the last time you saw anybody in line at the pharmacy saying, hey, to the pharmacist, can you give me some more information about this drug? I just think that that's way too weak a proposal, way too weak. Sometimes I find the legislature and our government are trying to take measures that just won't help the problem that goes on here on a daily basis.
It almost seems as though there's some knee-jerk reactions in the legislature to come up with whatever idea seems vaguely appropriate at the time.
I would agree with that. That way they go back to their constituents and they say, look how tough I am on these type of crimes. Look how tough I am on these type of addictions and policies.
In your experience, Kip, is there a certain area of the medical profession where you see more patients or more of your clients that they're getting the opioids, you know, the medications, abusing them more so than, let's say, a general practitioner?
Two components of that. Yes, chiropractic care is one of the most serious I see for prescription shopping, and general medical care. Quite a few clients I have it down to a profession where they will know which doctors will cross-check prescriptions, which pharmacies they can go to, which will not cross-check prescriptions, and that's where I think the real serious legislature intent needs to be put. One of the bills proposed makes it a requirement that doctors keep accurate counts of these type of prescriptions, how many pills they have on site. It's called doctor farming and prescription farming, and the people that are really addicted not only to the substances, but are also trafficking in these types of substances, know exactly what they're doing. It's big money for them.
I know Mike and I both handle workers' comp and Social Security cases, and in the records you see references to the OR system. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the pain management doctors that we deal with are pretty good about checking that OR system. Is that something that needs to be done on a more consistent basis by medical professionals?
Yes, I would agree with 100%, especially at your larger hospitals where you're having post-surgical prescriptions written. I think there should be, from my perspective, much more accurate counting for each and every pill that leaves that pharmacy inside these larger hospitals.